Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hello, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Eric.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold.
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down.
Yes.
All right, we're back once again for more action.
Good to see you again, Eric.
Yes, always happy to see you, Kevin.
I feel like we probably are a week later than we ought to be, but to make up for that, we have an awesome guest joining us. It's Katie from the Retro Made podcast. What else?
Yep. Yeah.
I feel like you've got a lot. Your hands in a lot of different podcast stews.
Only two, really. I love guesting on other people's shows. So thank you guys for having me. So yeah,
Perfect.
Retro Made. Check that out if you like 80s and 90s movies. And I'm on a John Hughes season this season. So if you like him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Eric and I joined for your Ferris Bueller episode. It was a blast.
Yes, thank you guys.
It's also nice for us to get outside of like our little action movie bubble from time to time.
Yeah, it's probably a slog every once in a while for you guys, particularly some movies that you cover. I can see that.
But
and then
Katie's got big action movie cred, though.
Yeah.
Right? You're like a fan of these, especially like just the muscle men.
I do. You know, I think I'm the lone female in the Last of the Action Heroes podcast network. Yeah, and I think I don't even really love action movies, but what gets me is a good-looking man. So that'll
there you go.
that'll bring me
There
to
you
the
go.
yard every time. But also,
So Dolph Lundgren qualifies?
oh my God, you guys are not going to be able to shut me up about this one.
Well, that's good because the movie we're doing right now this week is very short, so we have a lot of space to fill.
It is Showdown in Little Tokyo is the movie from 1991. It's definitely the shortest movie we've ever done on the podcast. I didn't know that you were allowed to make a movie this short.
Yeah, right, and put it
It's
in
like
theaters.
75 minutes long.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what qualifies as a feature length film versus a short. I'm curious now.
Technically,
Yeah.
if you're looking at con standards, it's 60 minutes. So it is technically a feature-length film by con standards.
If you had paid to see this movie in theaters, you'd probably feel like you got gypped, though.
Agreed. Yeah, it's 75
It's
minutes.
just so short.
Yeah.
It's not bad, though.
No,
That's the
it's not
weird
bad.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, did you guys discover why it ended up being so short? Are we gonna?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh,
We
yeah.
saw, but the thing was, it started out short, and then I think, and then the studio didn't like it. Right? They thought
Yeah.
it was boring.
Yeah, it came in at 90 minutes.
This
to start.
90-minute movie is too slow. It's we got to cut it shorter. That's so funny to me.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
We did a series on Passenger 57, which was like 83 minutes or something, and I thought we had never topped that. But this like shattered that record.
Well, I'm very happy to be a part of that new record.
Yeah. So before we get to the actual film, we'll hustle through the people attached. Well,
Again, we're not in any rush. We're not in any rush.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But first of all, before that, I just want to know everyone's first impressions of the movie. Katie?
Well, unsurprisingly, as this movie was a limited release, the studio didn't like it. I realize now why I never saw this as a kid. But I watched it within the last 3 years when I learned about it. I want to say I've done a couple of guest spots on Dolph Lundgren movies. And so I learned of this movie 3 years ago. And I'm like, how on earth have I not seen this? And I was not disappointed because, oh my God, does Dolph look good. So
I tell you, this was peak Dolph.
This was peak Dolph. Absolutely, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's plenty of Dolph ass and plenty of Dolph abs and all of it.
He's like half the movie's running around in his underwear.
And look, hey, apparently Brandon Lee got to see a show that we didn't get to see based on that line that we'll get to a little bit later on.
Indeed. But I will say it wasn't just that. Like, it actually was pretty entertaining. It did seem longer than like an hour and 15 minutes. Like there was a lot that they put in. Like a lot happened.
There was no filler left. They trimmed all the fat away.
Oh yeah, there was a lean movie.
What was your first thoughts, Eric?
Well, again, like Katie, I had never even heard of this movie, and in fact, I hadn't heard of this movie until you suggested it. Actually,
okay. We've been talking. So backstory.
Yeah.
When we were on Ferris Bueller, I think we were talking about what movie Katie would like to talk about, and she threw this one out. And unrelated, I had mentioned to Eric like 3 or 4 different times that this is one we should think about because it's just. First, it's short.
Yeah.
And that makes life easier. But also, it's just so damn weird.
Yeah. It's a strange movie, and part of that has to do with the extreme edits. When I saw it the first time, it went fast. There was no fat to trim out of it, and I just thought it was right up our alley. It was exactly kind of the type of movie that we do.
So I'm similar to Katie. I saw it a few years ago for the first time. I think it was on HBO or something, and I saw the title there, and I was like, this seems intriguing. Then I'm like, there's like a Brandon Lee movie I'd never heard of before, and Dolph. So I checked it out, and I was like, you know what? This movie is nothing if not like entertaining. It gives you it delivers. It hits all the notes that a movie like this I think should hit.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's just done 20 minutes faster than most movies.
Yep, agreed.
But now I will try to go through the names attached to it here. We'll see if we have any feelings about these people. Okay. And then we'll get into digging into the plot. So it was directed by Mark L. Lester, who, for me, the only thing of his I'm familiar with is that he directed Commando. That was like his claim to fame. That was his one big movie, was he worked with Arnold in Commando.
Okay.
Which is one of like the quintessential like Arnold taking on an army by himself.
Yeah, without a doubt.
With the muscle porn and like the bad one-liners, and it's just like it's everything you want in a cheesy Arnold movie. It's awesome.
Peak Arnold kind of, that milieu, that whole Arnold genre.
And then he did the movie with young Drew Barrymore, Firestarter, like the Stephen King.
Firestarter. I didn't know that. Okay.
Hence the serious tone, right? Like that's this movie kind of waffles a little bit, I think, which is why he ultimately was not too pleased with the end product. But you can tell that he wanted it to be a more serious movie, right?
Yeah,
right. This was probably going to be like his. Yeah, this was going to be his
magnum opus.
His magnum opus. Holy shit. If you just use the word magnum opus to describe Showdown in Little Tokyo, I love that.
Well, someone had to.
So apparently there were a lot of writers that had their hand in writing this movie. The credited writers are Stephen Glantz and Calliope Bradlestreet, which sounds like a pen name.
That can't be real.
But this is like the biggest thing that either of those people ever wrote.
Okay.
That's not saying a lot. But the original concept was apparently by Lester and a guy named Martin E. Kahn, who was his agent. I just love the guy and his agent sitting down to like come up with a movie together.
Hey, look, you got to take a start somewhere. You got to get into production somehow.
I'll wager after Commando, he probably had a little bit of clout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the movie was a hit.
Yeah,
for sure.
And this was not, was it, guys?
No, I think it was only 140 theaters in the States, and then it was direct to video everywhere else in the world.
This probably crushed it in blockbuster rentals.
Oh, I bet it did.
Produced by the same Martin E. Kahn, the agent. The only other movie I know of that he produced, which is one I haven't seen but I want to see, Katie might have seen it, called Pentathlon, another Dolph Lundgren movie where Dolph is playing a pentathlete, which he was in real life.
Oh, yeah.
And he uses his pentathlon skills to like lay waste to a bunch of bad guys.
How have I not seen it?
I've never heard this movie.
It has an amazing trailer.
Wow.
Like I gotta see it. So produced by him and by Mark L. Lester, who still produces a shit ton of stuff.
Really?
Like all types of like bottom shelf action movies.
Okay. Hey, it's a job, man. It's a living.
It pays the bills.
Yeah.
Music is by a guy named David Michael Frank, who did Above the Law, and he did Hard to Kill and Out for Justice. So
Hard to Kill was the one we did, but Above the Law I want to get to at some point.
Above the Law is wild. Above the Law has similar things going on to this movie, but I think all these action movies, if you look at them close enough, they're all like very related to each other, you know?
Don't you dare you guys compare some shit Steven Seagal movies that to me are all just one.
Yes. They all have the same title, don't they? Basically, it's like they just ran it through an AI, an algorithm.
Right.
This is
Above the Law
so
was a
much better.
decent movie, though.
I don't remember which one.
This movie is more enjoyable because somehow Dolph has more charisma than Seagal, and Dolph is not like to me, he's not a charismatic guy. If you could see Katie's face right now,
she is freaking out. Yeah, losing.
You think Dolph has big charisma?
Oh my God! I mean. Did you look at him? I mean,
physically, yeah, he's like a physical presence.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know what you mean, but he does have a presence about him, and that is a part of charisma. Now, I will say Brandon Lee has charisma, but I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I don't think he was very good in this.
I thought he was still an artist honing his craft.
Yes.
Yeah, honing his craft indeed.
Okay.
I agree. I think that he missed the mark on several of his lines, and but yeah, we'll get to that for sure.
And then I like to mention the cinematographer when it's someone who's got a resume worth mentioning. So the cinematography was by Mark Irwin, who did a bunch of Cronenberg movies.
Oh wow! Okay.
Videodrome, The Dead Zone, The Fly.
Wow.
He also was cinematographer on Passenger 57.
Wow. Okay.
Also was the cinematographer on a bunch of Farrelly Brother movies.
Wow.
He did Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary.
This guy gets around.
And he was the cinematographer on Scream, which is a great looking movie.
Yeah, it was.
And Old School. So he's like,
oh wow,
he's all over the place.
Yeah.
I love when a guy has a weird resume like that.
Yeah, man. He's a working cinematographer for sure.
It had a bunch of editors attached to it, this movie as well, not surprisingly. The only one that jumped out to me was this guy, Stuart Baird, who was like, I think known as like Warner Brothers. He was Warner Brothers like edit doctor. When a movie was an absolute shit show, they would bring in Stuart Baird to recut it. He recut Superman 2 when they took,
it from
it's the Lethal Weapon guy, Richard Donner.
Richard Donner.
When they took Richard Donner off Superman 2 and they finished it without him, I think they brought in Stuart Baird to change the story into something that made sense.
Yeah.
He also did the same thing on Tango and Cash.
Which
went through Tango and Cash went through like 3 different directors and like kept changing it midway.
Oh wow.
Like, he also edited Lethal Weapon and Last Boy Scout, Die Hard 2, Demolition Man.
We've done most of these movies.
Yeah, he edited Skyfall and Casino Royale as well. So I mean, he's a great editor.
Yeah,
but he'd also be that guy they brought in to try to save a movie that was in trouble. That's awesome to me. Oh, and Stuart Baird also directed Executive Decision. That's a pretty good little Kurt Russell action flick.
Yeah, once Seagal dies.
Yeah, that's just the right amount of Seagal.
Yeah, when he was at like peak fatness too, which was hilarious.
Yeah. He also directed U.S. Marshals, the fugitive sequel.
Horrible sequel.
And he directed Star Trek Nemesis. I don't know if that was good or not.
It was middling at best.
Okay. Eric's a big Star Trek guy.
I'm a big Star Trek guy. So,
I'm out of the loop on Star Trek. Now, the cast, which is a small cast.
It is a focused cast. Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren as Kenner, who doesn't even have a first name. Maybe Kenner is his first name.
Maybe Kenner is it. We don't know.
It's Chris.
He was Sergeant Kenner.
He's listed as Chris on, I want to say, like IMDb. It lists him as Chris Kenner.
Oh, okay. Chris Kenner.
The credits that roll at the end just say Sergeant Kenner, which I kind of love that.
That's pretty great.
But yeah, we know Dolph's resume. We've talked about some of the movies here. Rocky IV was like his big breakthrough.
Which we just did not too long ago.
Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, it was a big one.
Was his like big first starring role, I think. And then he did The Punisher, which I was like low-key a fan of his version of The Punisher. I liked him with dark hair. Didn't they darken his hair up for Punisher?
You know, I'm going to sound like such a poser because I haven't seen The Punisher.
Oh, I don't think he had his shirt off much in that, so it might not have been.
Here's the thing, like this kind of genre, I don't care for that kind of a movie, really. Like,
okay, you just like the eye candy.
Yeah. Now, so therefore, I really liked Universal Soldier because there's a twofer.
Sure.
Yeah,
they have to get a twofer for that one.
Van Damme was like a very pretty man.
Oh my God, yes.
Wasn't he?
Yes.
He's aged extremely well too. I mean,
considering all the shit that he's done in his life as well.
I mean, he looks, he oddly looks his age, but good. You know what I mean? He's not like overly plasticky like a lot of some that I won't mention.
Yeah.
Stallone. Stallone. No.
He's more plastic than man now.
Yeah. So then we got Brandon Lee as Johnny Murata.
Mm-hmm.
This was his first American movie, apparently. He was like following his father's footsteps and got his start in Hong Kong flicks, which is crazy to me because he strikes me as like a very much like an all-American type of dude. He reminded me of Johnny Utah in this from Point Break, sort of like surfer dude vibes,
so,
like Keanu Reeves vibes.
Yeah, that is true.
But he went on after this. He did Rapid Fire, which was like an okay action flick, and he did The Crow was like his big
that
role.
was his big breakout, and
we all know he sadly died in probably like the most infamous on-set death that's ever happened in a movie.
Until Alec Baldwin came around.
No, but this was like, I feel like Brandon Lee was like a young star.
He was 20
Yeah, I think
when he died.
Yeah.
Not a behind-the-scenes guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
The
And
Lee
I mean,
curse.
honestly, like watching this movie, I agree. He was like an unpolished stone, but I could see he had the makings of like being a star. So I feel like he did have a lot of natural charisma and charm.
Yeah, it just needed to be honed.
He is charming. And I will say he's a beautiful man too. Like he's a very good looking
handsome
guy.
Yeah, good looking guy.
It's crazy to have that pedigree that you're like a Hollywood royalties kid. You're also good looking and charismatic and all that. And like it seemed to me that he's pretty damn good at the martial arts shit as well.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he probably learned with his dad.
Yeah, I would assume he trained with his dad. Yeah.
Wild. But then we got Tia Carrera as Minako.
Mm-hmm.
This has got to be an early role for her too. This is like pre-Wayne's World.
She did Wayne's World later this year, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So she
Wayne's World was 91 as well.
That made her like a star for a minute.
Yeah, she had quite a run, didn't she?
Yeah, True. I love her in True Lies.
Yeah, she was great.
She was great in that.
Yeah.
And I don't know that. Like, I don't know what it means to call someone like they look exotic. But I don't know that anyone's ever looked more exotic than Tia Carrera, who's like she was Hawaiian. She was
could
like
just play anything.
She's American, but like
Right.
she just like looks like she's from another planet. Or something,
Right.
You know.
And then her, obviously her great Apex movie, Jury Duty, with Pauly Shore. That was clearly the peak of her career.
I never went down the Pauly Shore wormhole. Katie, Pauly Shore, yay or nay?
I mean, yay, because like Encino Man,
You watched his stuff?
Son-in-law.
Yes, Man and Son-in-Law
basically
are both
those
good.
two.
I like both of those.
Okay.
Those two.
Yeah, those are the only two that are worth anything.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was born and raised in Hawaii. She was of Filipino descent. So I was like, because she always plays something different. I feel like in every movie, as a lot of like Asian and Pacific Islander people do. Like the people they'll play Chinese in one movie, then the next movie they're playing Japanese, then the next movie they're playing Korean. It's a little offensive, but you know,
Yeah.
I guess work is work.
Brandon Lee is a Hong Konger who's playing a Japanese character right now.
Exactly.
So.
It's just
Good
like I
point.
guess that was the name of the game at that point in time.
Yeah.
And then the big bad guy is played by an awesome guy named, I'll try this, Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa.
Very
Close
good.
enough.
Playing Yoshida. What a long career this guy has
Oh, my
had.
God. He's still acting. He's still doing his thing.
I think his big role was probably in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, for sure. That's where I
What is
first saw him.
Shang
Tsung.
Shang Tsung, okay, the main bad guy.
The main baddie.
He was in another movie similar to this one, I think, that came out this same year called The Perfect Weapon.
Ooh.
That had half the cast was the same. It was another one that was like, this was the era of like the white dude doing martial arts like resurgence. I feel like Van Damme sort of brought it back, and then they were just cranking out like flicks like American Ninja and stuff like
is
that.
a classic. Yeah.
But Perfect Weapon was another one of those flicks. He played this sort of evil character in Kickboxer 2, which I low-key, like, I love Kickboxer 2. I love that movie. He was in The Phantom. Do you guys remember The Phantom?
Yeah, with Billy Zane.
Billy Zane is like this. It's like a swashbuckling sort
Catherine
of.
Zeta-Jones.
Okay, she must have been young in
Yeah,
that.
she was very young.
Or new.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like this swashbuckling sort of superhero. It had to have been based on a comic.
Yeah, it was based on an old 40s comic.
Okay. Pretty solid,
Comic
though.
strip, not a comic book, actually.
Most randomly and most offensively, Tagawa played the character of Oriental Man in Twins.
Oh, God.
Really?
He was the guy in old age makeup teaching Arnold like martial arts on the island before he came to America in Twins.
Wow.
I don't know why they didn't cast an actual old person.
There's plenty
to do
of them.
it.
You can cast plenty of. There's plenty of old people out there.
That is a random credit to have though on the resume.
Man.
Yeah, and the thing that makes me the happiest about this movie is like the cavalcade of like familiar Asian faces that pop up throughout the whole movie. We'll mention them as we go, but I feel like this is that movie that like everybody in Hollywood got put on. Like if you were like an Asian henchman type, there was a part for you.
Blew me away that Jeff Amata wasn't in this. Actually.
No, he was.
He was.
Oh yeah,
he was in this.
Oh yeah. He had a different look then. He didn't have the mullet. He was like short cropped.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, I missed him.
Oh, he was in there. I thought he wasn't in there too. And I was like, holy shit, that's Jeff Amata.
Okay, you have to point him out to me because I watched this several times and I missed him every time. So
I also watched this all the way through the credits because I'm on my John Hughes season, so I'm used to waiting for the like post credit scene.
The post credit.
Of course,
scene,
there wasn't. But in doing so, when it listed all of the stunt people, now I don't know if these are just very common last names or. You bringing up Jeff Amata made me think of this. There were two Amatas. There was Jeff and another Amata. And I was like, oh, is that Jeff?
Oh, he's probably got a brother.
Yeah,
but that's what I thought too. But then there were two Wongs. And okay, Wong's a popular last name. There was like two of like four different names. And I was like,
that's from Death Proof, remember?
Yeah, that's
every
right.
stunt man. I got into doing stunt work the way everybody gets into stunt work. My brother got me into it.
So I wondered because it was in alphabetical order.
Did you do Death Proof on your Kurt Russell?
I did a bonus. I did a bonus where I talked about it.
Oh.
Yeah, because it was
Stuntman Mike is an amazing character.
It was too late because that wasn't in the 80s or the 90s. So that's kind of usually my
right. Yeah,
fair.
That was in the 2000s.
You had to have a cutoff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll be here the rest of your life
Forever.
There's worse people to talk about for the rest of your life though than Kurt Russell.
I agree. One of my favorite actors of all time.
He is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Whew. With all that paperwork's out of the way, we can dig into the scant plot of the movie here. It opened with that Warner Brothers animation, which I'm like, fucking really? Warner Brothers did this movie? This has canon written all over it.
It does.
Right straight up. Roger Corman. I mean, like the whole nine.
Absolutely. But yeah, this was 1991. It was like I think like they were putting out any movie that had like a martial arts angle to it was getting made at this point because Seagal and Van Damme were like legit, A-listers at this time or whatever. And they're like, what else do we got? It's got a long opening credit sequence, didn't it? From a movie that's like 78 minutes long.
I thought the same thing.
It's more than 3% of the movie is the opening credits.
Right.
That's wild to me. Okay.
Close up the whole time.
Oh yeah, muscles.
Oh, but the tattoo.
Like, tattooed up muscles.
The tattoo.
Yeah, the Yakuza tattoos. Yeah.
Yeah. And they had the nerve to say, Mark L. Lester film. There's no chance. I don't know if Lester had clout like that, but no way. That is a reach to call this a film.
Yeah, it's like, if Mark L. Lester's doing it, well, I got to watch this one.
Absolutely. The auteur. Dolph and Brandon Lee both got their credit in before the title.
Yeah.
That's crazy for Brandon Lee, who was practically a nobody at this time, other than the pedigree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, they had that movie title projected on like the shirtless male chest.
Also, were the tattoos real?
I read it somewhere. I think it was on the AFI. So AFI has a website that's like almost as good as IMDb. I don't think anyone knows about it, but they have like all these details about movies as obscure as this one. And it said that at the time, at least, this was like the most fake tattoos like ever applied on any film or whatever.
Well, when we get to the Ryokon scene, yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, that's the Yakuza thing, right? Like, it's like these head to toe tattoos or whatever.
I mean, it's why tattoos are so taboo in Japan.
Oh, because it's like only
it's a Yakuza thing.
Okay, that's rad.
But I was impressed then. If it wasn't, if that was all.
Yeah, they were good.
Thought,
all of them are fake as far as I'm aware.
Wow.
We just did Lionheart.
Yeah.
Where Van Damme had this big chest tattoo that kept like
moving,
getting brighter and more faded and all that throughout the movie. He'd like go in the water and come out and it was like running down his chest.
Sharpie.
It's a little early muscle porn in the flick, even though it's not Dolph.
Yeah.
Then we cut to Little Tokyo in Los Angeles. We're inside this smoky club. There's like an underground martial arts match going on. I thought it was weird. They seemed like they were fighting Muay Thai or doing like kickboxing or something, not like a traditional Japanese martial arts.
Yeah.
But
wait, yes.
Whatever.
Do you guys know a lot? I know nothing about martial arts. Like, so I don't know the difference between
like karate and sumo, I think, and maybe judo are the big ones in Japan.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
Aikido is a defensive martial arts where you use.
That's what Seagal claims to do.
Right. But it is real. I mean, he
It
gives
is a
Aikido
thing.
a bad name.
He's given it a bad name.
Right. But yeah, the whole thing is about using the momentum of your enemy to make them hurt themselves, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, did you guys ever watch Friends? The episode where Monica's boyfriend like starts martial art, like when UFC first became a thing.
Oh yeah. Well,
Oh,
and
it
it
was
was
Favreau?
Favreau. It was John Favreau. Yeah, I remember
And
that.
he's like,
yeah.
he's like, oh, don't worry, my trainer, and it was something like Yoshi or something very like Japanese, and he was like, don't worry,
Yeah.
he taught me how to use my opponent's strength against him, and then they see the opponent is this giant guy, and they're like, oh, he's in trouble then.
Settle a bet for us. We talked about on Lionheart. Van Damme was on Friends, right? At some point.
Oh yes,
He was filming a movie or something, and they had a monkey,
he
maybe.
plays himself.
Yeah.
Or was the monkey in the
I
movie?
feel like maybe.
Yeah, the monkey was in the
Ross's
movie.
monkey
It was because
gonna
it
be
was
in the movie?
Ross's
Was that-
monkey. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ross's
Okay.
monkey became like a star. That was like the gag. Yeah, he was like in all of the movies that needed monkeys.
Did he date one of the girls in the
Yes.
end, Van Damme?
Well, so Monica and Rachel kind of fight over him because he wants to date both
Okay.
of them.
Oh,
Was he funny?
hilarious.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that's cool. He has he had a lot of charisma
Oh,
as well,
yeah.
even though
Yeah,
he
yeah.
wasn't much of an actor. Anyway, sorry to rip on Van Damme.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, Van Damme
That's fine.
is like he's one of my
He knows.
favorite
He
guys.
knows what he is.
He does. I give him credit for that because a
Yeah.
lot of these guys don't know what they are,
Yeah.
and that's much to their detriment. But so we see the character of Kenner, that's Dolph Lundgren, clad in this leather jacket that he's going to wear basically the entire movie. He's like scaling onto the roof of the club.
For reasons.
I feel like they. What the fuck is he doing?
So he can swoop down through the thingy.
Yeah,
well, clearly.
that's
you don't
why.
have. You're a cop. You're a cop. You don't have to do that.
This is how they do it in Little Tokyo.
I
Kevin.
guess. So. Yeah, he's like looking down through the skylight, like watching the action down below. Now, out on the street, this lowrider convertible pulls up, filled with Yakuza guys, led by the character of Sato, who was played by, I will try this one, Toshishiro Obata.
Good enough.
Absolutely. That was Shredder's top
Shredder's
goon
right hand man.
from the Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Second I saw him, I'm like, oh, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I don't
think
know what his
saw
name was in
that.
that flick. But yeah, the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
The
movie
first-
is a great movie.
I watched it like late last year again on a whim. It holds up.
oh, it's
The
so
first
funny.
one is still really good.
With the
It's
real men
really,
in
really
suits,
good.
right? In the
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually
Yeah, it was like
heard
done by
good
Jim
things.
Henson, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, the first one is excellent.
Excellent.
Everyone after
the other
that,
ones,
you know,
don't worry about it. But the first one is great.
for sure. But these dudes, were you not blown away by the wardrobe?
Oh, yeah.
They had like a tailor on retainer because every time they pulled up, they were decked out.
Yeah. To the nines.
The-
Peak early 90s, late 80s, like
Oh yeah,
oversized suits.
and colorful, like very, and
It's
the
so
shirts,
colorful.
the shirts were
It was-
wild. Also, I did know
they had like a uniform for sure.
yeah.
this character that you're talking about. What's his name in the movie? Sato,
Sato.
like the kind of heavier
the
set.
the shaved headed guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a mustache. Yeah.
In the last scene where he's fighting, spoiler alert, I was like, I didn't notice it at all throughout the movie except for the last scene. I'm like, is he wearing his dad's suit? Is he like a miniature person? His legs look
Right. It's
so,
so big.
short.
No, it is so oversized.
I feel like baggy suits were,
completely- yeah, they were,
that was
yeah.
the style at some point, like these double-breasted, like massive Armani suits.
Yeah, with like the giant shoulder pads that football players could wear.
yeah.
But he's
it was nuts.
clearly
though.
not a tall man, and then it just made his
no, no.
proportions look really weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't.
agree.
Double-breasted's not flattering
Ugh,
like on
no.
No,
anybody.
his proportions are fine if like you watch the Ninja Turtles
Okay.
movie. He
Yeah.
looks. It's just that suit makes him look very weird.
They made a choice. This is
Yeah, it
this
was
is
a
going to be
choice.
the look.
I also
For
wanted
the
to
bad guys,
change
'cause-
Dolph's pants. I know it was 91, but the pleats, no, thank you.
The pleated
what was the
pleated
pleats?
corduroys? Yeah.
Oh my
Pleats.
god,
I can't with it.
It was just ridiculous. And it's like, why didn't he do just the too tight white jeans like everybody did? You know, I mean, come on.
He could have borrowed a pair from Seagal.
He could have borrowed a pair from
Too
Seagal.
tight jeans.
He has some interesting wardrobe choices in this movie.
Oh, we'll get to those.
So now inside, there's this guy running the fight who's named Tanaka. The character is played by Philip Tan, He's collected money from gamblers. Philip Tam was a guy I definitely recognized.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was prominently in Lethal Weapon 4. I had like a great part where he was like the waiter. It was part of this big foot chase, like action set piece in the movie. But the Yakuza guys, they all come walking in. They spread out. Then Kenner swings down from the skylight into the ring and knocks down one of the fighters. Then, like, with some wise-ass attitude, he tells Tanaka, you're under arrest.
I love that he singles out an individual in a place that is completely illegal and says this one guy is under arrest.
Well, he knows it's the owner. He was the owner.
He must have been investigating Tanaka for a while. But, like, this was the plan. Was to swing in from the ceiling. You're a cop. You don't have to swing in from the rafters.
I love that, and they do this over the course of the movie, like trying to be above board and not lose your honor. But nothing he does in this movie is above the board.
You're supposed to show up with like, where's your backup?
Where's your SWAT team?
You're going in alone.
Yeah, right. I know, exactly.
At no point are they trying. Like one time, Brandon Lee says to try and stay above board, but that was the only time. That was the only time.
Strange.
The rest of the time, they're like, "Hey, there's cops here. Let's get out of here.
Let's skedaddle.
Let's get out before the real cops get here." It's crazy. But Tanaka tells the two fighters in the ring to beat up Kenner, and then the one gambler yells out, $5,000 on the new guy. And with maybe one of the best line reads I've ever seen from Dolph Lundgren, he's like, "That's a good bet." And then like the fight, then there's a full-on fight on. The crowd erupts in cheers as Kenner starts beating up both these dudes at the same time. He knocks the one guy like straight out of the ring with a single punch.
That was a kick, wasn't it? Or was it a punch?
He was doing. He did a weird thing where he caught one guy's leg and then hit the other guy in the face with the one guy's leg. But then he just like did this big sort of like Mike Tyson-ish uppercut and like some guys sort of flying out of the ring.
I did have a question about Tanaka collecting bets in that big bag that he runs off with.
The bag.
Right, exactly.
How are again, my brain just gets bogged down in logistics. How are you keeping track of everyone's bets?
Right, exactly.
You're just putting money in the bag. Everybody, like
he's like
he's like slips, no
like one of those
receipts.
He's like a Wall Street, like you see in movies, the Wall Street brokers who can like just do hand signals and they can talk to everybody around the thing and it's magical.
Maybe he's got like a photographic memory or something. He's one of these guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
He can remember everything.
We like to try to steel man everything on
when we want to like a movie, we try to make excuses for the movie,
Oh, I'll definitely be doing that for this movie. Don't you worry.
But so just then, the Yakuza guys, they produce a bunch of machine guns. They start shooting up the place. They shoot a bunch of gamblers, including that guy who wanted to bet on Kenner.
That's right.
I felt bad for him. He got like prominently mowed down.
I guess it wasn't a good bet after all.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Zing. So Tanaka, he tries to run out of there. Kenner whips out his gun and shoots one of the Yakuza guys. I feel like if the movie would just be over right now, if Kenner had brought back up, they just arrest the Yakuza guys, and then that's the end of the movie.
We problem solved.
But instead, Sato's like shooting up the place a bit. Then the Yakuza guys, they all run out of there and they jump back in their car. So Kenner comes running out onto the street to try to stop them. They drive that convertible right at Kenner, who just leaps over the speeding car with like a flying kick.
Oh my God, this was such a bad scene because if you're paying attention, you can see the springboard.
Yeah, we went back because I was kind of curious. I did like frame by frame, and you can see the little thing that's shooting him up in the air.
Right, and
but
and you can tell that they're using forced perspective because the car drives right in front of it.
Yeah,
and so he's not even in front of the car;
well,
he's clearly behind the car, which is hilarious.
But of course,
okay,
you're gonna not do it. You don't do that for real.
Hey, if it were Jackie Chan, he would have done it for real.
They would have found a way.
He would have found a way.
It's all that upper body extra muscle he's got.
Too much weight.
Too much weight.
Slowing him down.
He's bulky. So the Yakuza guys, they seem to like all look at each other like, who the hell was that guy? Right? Which was fair. I mean, the guy just did jump over your speeding car.
Yeah, with an air kick.
Yeah.
And might I add, that's like a Greek god that they just witnessed.
Yeah,
well, that is true.
The most beautiful man in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
He really is. I would like to make
he really
case.
is. No.
He's a really good looking guy.
It's one of those things where it's like not fair
that
you should look like that and have that physique and you're really smart.
Yeah, he's apparently got like a doctorate in
and
something.
you're like the European like karate champion or whatever.
it's
And
ridiculous.
he's like going to therapy, like he's
literally
a
an
good,
Adonis.
like he has grown as a human. Like he's like a good person.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He
just usually plays the sort of
well, yeah. I mean,
villainish
if you look
roles.
like that, but
Yeah, you're kind of typecast to a
That's
certain
true.
extent.
Brand,
you know?
they both. I
You're
mean,
like-
the bone structure in this movie for days because Brandon Lee has it too.
the cheekbones.
The man has a jawline that could cut glass.
But there were a few times in the movie. There's a couple of like pretty good deliveries, like when Dolph's being serious. But I was distracted. I was like, oh, I don't know what he just said.
You like smoldering Dolph.
I was distracted too by the pleats.
I mean, you guys
Blinded by
got
the
Tia
pleats.
Carrera. She looked lovely in this, but
Oh, I'm not complaining
No,
about
she
Tia
looked- yeah,
Carrera.
she
This
was,
I just
she looked great.
seriously more so even than because he has weird, he's not he's the Russian in Rocky IV. I mean, he is a godlike creature in that, but in this, he has like his hair is more normal. Oh,
yeah.
my
No, they
God.
made him look like the model, that he was, I think, before he got into acting
Yeah.
or whatever. But now sometime later,
We don't know how long.
do you think it's like the next day or days later?
It's the next morning, I think.
Do you think it's? I assumed it was the next
Yeah,
morning,
sure.
but Kenner is eating breakfast in this Japanese restaurant. He's speaking fluent Japanese with the older woman who's like running the place. I don't know if that was real Japanese or not, but it sounded legit.
Yeah.
It sounded legit. Yeah.
She called him Kenner-san.
Yeah.
They like get to flirting with each other. So it appears that Kenner is like a regular. I really need to know what she was saying because it sounded like it was kind of saucy.
For whatever
you
reason,
know?
these are the only lines that they didn't translate in the movie.
Then she's like, "Was
There's
that?"
no subtitles?
He said to her, "Was that an offer?" And she said, "I'm too much woman for you. You need to start with something easier." I was like, "Oh damn, that's like." Anyway, she had. I like her style.
I do too. I'd be flirting with him too. I don't care if I'm 60.
I know. No one's immune to Dolph's charms. So now the same Yakuza guys from the night before, they come walking in, all dressed to the nines again, but like in different shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they got a deal on those suits. It was like that Joseph A. Banker was like, buy one, get four free or whatever,
Joseph A.
you know?
Banks. I would like to see the store that they shopped in, though.
I feel like they should have been at the main bad guys like lair. There should have been like a room where there was just a tailor or an army of tailors.
I love the idea that they do have
just swing open a door and
tailors
it's like
on retainer.
a sweatshop, and they're making nothing but Yakuza suits for the guys. But they enter. They start to shake that woman down. They're demanding money in exchange for protecting her business, the traditional like
Classic.
mafia style.
Yeah.
No, so one of the Yakuza produces a butterfly knife,
Boom,
which
butterfly
always
knife.
gets me excited
Yeah.
when someone whips out the knife. There's like,
Is that what you call the thing that they just go like this? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand that business.
I don't. It just looks
it's a
cool.
very 80s and 90s
Okay.
thing.
It
Yeah.
looks cool. It makes any movie 37% more rad
Wow,
when a
that's
butterfly knife comes out.
Specific number.
Also, are they
When
new? Like, did they just arrive in LA? These
This is
The
okay.
guys?
Yeah, this is my question. Like, I feel like the Yakuza have just started putting a foothold in LA. And
Yeah,
like,
they said this
the
is our
earliest-
town now, or this is our neighborhood
Yeah,
now, something like
exactly.
that. That's the vibe I get.
Yeah, same.
One thing I want to mention about butterfly knife before we move on, because I discovered it when we were doing Face Off, is that it's illegal to show it on screen in the UK.
Oh, wow.
So like it's like I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't know, just because they have odd laws. But so anytime a butterfly knife is in a movie, like when they do the UK edit, they have to cut that out.
That's weird.
It is strange.
Like
That doesn't make.
scene?
I
That
don't know if
whole
that's-
fight sequence falls
I
apart.
don't know if that's still the law. I just think they're not allowed to like see it doing its little flipping around thing.
interesting. Too many
I don't
kids
know.
got
Maybe they-
hurt trying it. I guess. I
There's
don't know.
stabbings is like the thing, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
UK.
yeah.
Only
There's
because
a
they
real
don't have
difference.
guns,
Stabbing problem.
right?
Yeah, it'd be.
Well.
I'd much rather have stabbing rampages than like
Yeah,
assault
because that's
rifle
that's a
rampages,
one at a
but-
time situation.
exactly. You never see like
Mass-
40 people killed
yeah.
on a stabbing
Yeah.
rampage. Anyway, back to the flick. So Kenner comes strolling over with his tea in his hand still, and the knife wielding goon threatens him. Then the guy stabs at Kenner, but Kenner just easily disarms him, like without even like
Just without even.
with one hand, you know.
He's still holding
Yeah.
his tea, for God's sake.
The tiny
Yeah.
little
Yeah. He
takes the-
teacup in his giant hand. He's just like, no big deal.
I was so sure he was going to throw that tea in someone's face. Like that was just.
Oh.
I guess he's too honorable for that. Maybe it's like too much of a cheap
Well,
shot.
I felt like they were intentionally, the choreography was intentional to kind of show how effortless it was for him to fight, right? This is so easy for him that he could continue to hold his tea the whole time.
Yes, gotta be. Okay, so he says to the dudes, he's like, come on, guys, don't do this. If I don't get breakfast, I get real grumpy. I don't think you like me grumpy. It was like a good...
Is that a Incredible Hulk reference?
Sure.
Why not?
Is that, yeah, I don't know. But so the Yakuza come at him again, and he continues just to beat the shit out of him. I did some research because I'm like, is Dolph like really a martial arts guy?
Yeah.
And he was the heavyweight kickboxing European champion in 1980 and 81. And then he was the Australian full contact karate champion in 1982.
Oh,
so
wow. Shoot. Okay.
I feel like his size probably helps him because he doesn't have like this type of high flying moves, that you see other dudes have.
He's like in the video game architect type, his DPS would be very low, but each hit would be very high. The damage of each hit would be very high.
The damage points.
Yeah.
Sure.
So both kickboxing and karate?
Yeah, I think kickboxing I feel like is sort of just like almost like mixed martial arts.
Oh.
Like I feel like it's sort of anything goes.
Okay.
And karate might have more like strict rules about what your form that you have to have or something. I don't really know that to be true, but
sure, I believe it.
What's the type of martial art that he says that Brandon Lee does? He calls it something like starts with a B, I want to say.
Yeah, he used it, but he said Bushido, but that's totally using that word wrong, I think.
Yeah, Bushido is a philosophy on life. It's not a martial art.
Yeah, it's like the samurai philosophy. It's very strange. It was a strange. I don't know if the screenwriters just really got that wrong or what.
I don't know. Or maybe I misunderstood what Bushido is.
We can touch on it again when we get there, like have the context or whatever. But back at the restaurant, Kenner just completely wrecks this place. Right? Mm-hmm. Like he's destroying this woman's restaurant as he fights these guys.
Oh my God, the insurance on this.
We love the movies where the guys just destroy private property.
Indiscriminate private property.
She doesn't really seem that upset by it though.
I mean, yeah, maybe this happens once a week with Kenner around.
Yeah, right.
Who knows? Anytime. She probably keeps Kenner around for protection. For like protection.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. But so Kenner kicks this one guy right through the front window, and he lands at the feet of this character, Johnny, who's walking up. That's Brandon Lee. Now, Kenner then takes out the final subordinate goon, and Sato produces another big knife.
A massive, like, Rambo knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Johnny rushes in right as Sato is trying to stab Kenner, and Kenner kicks the knife out of Sato's hand and then kicks Sato in the face. And then Johnny steps in and tells Kenner to stop. And what the fuck was Johnny thinking was happening, like at this moment, that he seems to think that Kenner is the bad guy and the 6 Yakuza-looking guys are I don't know. This bit is so weird to me.
They both okay, so Johnny knows he's being sent there to find his new part.
He's being sent there to find Kenner.
So they didn't tell him, hey, you can't miss him. He's 6'4", blonde dude in Little Tokyo.
He'll probably be the one white dude in there.
Right.
He's 6'5", blonde hair, 240 pounds. And and he walks in just leaps to the conclusion. It seems that Kenner is like the aggressor. Leave these 6 guys alone.
And then even Kenner doesn't. Nobody told him, hey, on such and such day, you're going to get a new partner
coming in.
Right, I know. It's absolutely preposterous how they meet.
So now Kenner picks up the knife and he tells Johnny to get out of his way. And this is the first of many times that Johnny calls Kenner champ.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like if there was a drinking game in this movie, it would be every time that Johnny calls Kenner champ, you got to take a drink.
Yeah.
I see Katie taking a drink right now.
There we go.
Right on. But so Johnny, though, has some flashy ass moves. Man, he kicks the knife away from Kenner. I'm not sure how legitimate of a martial artist Brandon Lee was, but his moves look great on film.
Mm-hmm.
So now the Yakuza goons, they all scurry away back to the car. So Johnny hits Kenner with some more acrobatic moves. Kenner eventually gets Johnny in this sort of chokehold. But anyway, so Sato and the other guys, they get in their car and they shoot up the place.
Oh, that's right.
They send Kenner and Johnny diving for cover. Kenner hides behind this table that is bulletproof, apparently.
Oh my God! Even though it's shattering.
It's it's made out of particle board or something. But
I guess it's better than nothing.
Bullets, yeah.
I don't know.
So Yakuza guys, they speed off. So now Kenner and Johnny, they pop back up with guns drawn and identify themselves as police. It's like a good movie moment, though. it doesn't stand up to the scrutiny of like
no.
That's when Johnny is like shocked to learn that the white dude that he's fighting half a dozen Yakuzas single-handedly is the Sergeant Kenner that he came here to meet in the first place. Crazy. But so Johnny says, I'm your new partner. It's like a meet cute for action movies. It was like, this happens, I feel like, in every mismatched partner, cop
Buddy
movie
cop.
or whatever out there. Like Lethal Weapon had the great one as well, or like 48 Hours. But Kenner then tells Johnny, good work on letting everybody get away. They bicker a little bit and he's talking about like your muscles are slowing you down or something that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think Katie was not going to stand for anyone bad mouthing Dolph's
Well,
muscle.
he even said, he was like, well, he had a good comeback. Like, I didn't miss you.
It was like, if I had hit you though, you would have been whatever or something like that. But the distraught restaurant owner comes over and tells them to cut it out. I do like, she was like, her life has just been upended.
Yeah,
I
but
feel
she seems pretty nonplussed
she's
by
like,
this.
children, stop this.
Yeah,
stop
right.
fighting.
She's more worried about their bickering than the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage that was just done to her restaurant.
And then they just peace out and leave it.
And they just peace out.
All
Totally
right,
peace out.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whatever. So Kenner and Johnny, they find that there's still one dude there that's like knocked out behind the counter. So we got this one guy to arrest. Johnny starts reading him his rights, and then Kenner is like, the dude's unconscious. They're establishing now like the fun tone. Or whatever. Yeah. So Kenner and Johnny, they take this thug back to the precinct. There's a series of cops that are all telling Johnny good luck, and Kenner's like, yeah, those are my former partners. That's so awesome. That was a barrage of familiar faces. All the guys. So...
Oh, did you recognize them? I didn't.
I recognized them. I recognized two of the three. And then when I looked them up, I saw, they were all three had like, the first one was Mike Yanagita from Fargo, the guy that Frances McDormand met at the restaurant, who was like,
good call.
Yeah. The next guy was Fujitsu-san from Back to the Future 2. Marty McFly's boss in 2015. Okay. And then the short, like, sort of pudgier dude was very prominently in the movie Gung Ho. This Michael Keaton.
I never saw that.
Auto plant movie, like a Japanese opening an auto plant in America.
It was like a fish out of
Great
water
movie.
Yeah,
wait, that was
really
another
good.
movie that
Ron
Michael
Howard
Keaton
movie.
worked at an auto plant? He also did in this
I
movie.
know. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gung Ho is great. Gung Ho is hilarious.
Gung Ho's
Early
really
Ron
good.
Howard movie.
Yeah, and a great Michael Keaton vehicle too.
Yeah. So now we go to the interrogation room where the Yakuza goon, he's not going to answer any of Johnny's questions. So Kenner comes at him with some questions in Japanese, asking who he works for. This was when I noticed the pleated corduroys and like the black wife beater, and I was just like, "That's an odd fashion choice."
Well,
I feel like that was like
he took the jacket
at that
off.
time.
It was great.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He was
finally
showing the muscles off.
Get those guns out.
I do like that look in cop movies where they have like either a tight T-shirt or something that shows their body, but also they have that gun holster thingy.
Yeah,
on.
right. The shoulder holsters.
That's a good look.
It's a hot look. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I can feel that.
So the goon, though, he still won't talk. The Kenner walks over and rips the dude's shirt open. And I don't know what kind of shirts these guys have, but throughout the movie, they just rip open with no resistance.
I mean, this is what happens when you've got an army of like sweatshop workers.
The buttons are just barely.
Their buttons are not great.
Can't keep
Yeah,
up.
so you get tons of suits, but it's all fast fashion, so it falls apart very quickly.
So the guy had like no reaction at all, very stoic, which was weird to me, but his chest is covered in elaborate tattoos. Johnny seems shocked by what he's seeing, and Kenner plops down in his chair, and Kenner's like staring at this, like the white claw that was tattooed prominently on the center of the guy's chest. Then Kenner drifts off to dreamland, where we get a little flashback of young Kenner looking on as his parents are killed in their beds by this man with a katana sword and similar tattoos. Similar, but not the same. But I guess, like, I didn't see how you would see that and be like, oh yeah, because the little claw looks different on everyone's.
Right.
Every time you see it, but
Right. I
had to
Kenner's
really
the
look
expert
for
here. I
it.
guess.
On that one, I didn't see the Iron Claw particularly well.
Yeah, it was kind of strange, but
And for the record, I don't know if that's actually a thing. I didn't do any research on if the Iron Claw is actually a representation of the Yakuza or if that's just a fabrication for this
I feel like
movie.
that's their particular like
Sect.
their
Yeah.
their
It's like a
family.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably a made up thing for the movie, probably.
Okay.
I feel like it would have been great if it was that we were a White Claw.
I should have brought White Claw tonight.
Added humor for tonight. But so now Kenner snaps back to the present. He lunges across the table and grabs the dude by the throat. This was, I feel like, the first look where we got like a really good like a flex from Dolph.
Mm-hmm.
But even I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here.
You enjoyed it for a second, and then you're like, all right.
I'm like, all righty. If you've got Dolph in your movie, I guess you have to do that.
So Kenner orders the goon, tell us what we want to know. The guy still won't talk, and Kenner slams him back across the room. It's just like a good old fashioned Rodney King era. LAPD like police brutality.
It was that era, definitely, wasn't it?
Oh
yeah, absolutely. It was like this was the same year, I think, as Rodney King happened.
Where cops were as much a vigilante as a vigilante was, right? And we loved them for it too.
Yeah. So now Johnny and Kenner, they walk to that adjacent room, like the other side of the mirror, and Johnny wants to know what's going on. So Kenner explains, this guy's got the tattoo of the Iron Claw Yakuza gang. He says Yakuza, it's a perversion of the samurai code. Johnny makes some joke about it, and Kenner's like, this partnership's just not going to work out. Which seemed like an overreaction a little bit, but, I feel like there had to have been more to that scene that was chopped out because it was sort of abrupt the way that the action seemed to leap forward a little bit. But Johnny admits, hey, look, I don't have a lot of luck with partners either. So, if working with you here doesn't work out for me, like there's nowhere left for me to go. And Kenner said, I'm not surprised. I hate you already. Whatever, which I did think was a great line.
Question.
This movie works, I think, best when they're busting balls.
It does. It does. I did have a question, though. When they first meet, and Johnny, his last name, so he's like half Japanese. His last name is
half Japanese.
Which makes no
Murata
sense because his dad in the movie is the white guy.
Is the white guy.
So why would his last name be Murata? But anyway, we'll overlook that, I guess.
That's a great question. No, you raise a good point.
I mean...
he specifically says my dad is a white guy.
Yeah. Emilio Estevez took his mom's name, so...
Yeah.
Maybe he has better luck with the ladies with the exotic name.
It does, yeah, because his dad's last name is Smith.
Yeah.
So Johnny Smith wouldn't... It just doesn't have the same ring.
Johnny Utah. Maybe it was Utah. Maybe they're
Johnny
related.
Walker. Absolutely.
But he says he's with the Asian Task Force or something. Why? He doesn't know. Clearly, we learn he knows nothing about Japanese culture.
It is weird.
Yeah.
Maybe just because he could. I'm gonna
Steelman
make an excuse. Because of his look, he could do undercover work.
Yeah. Okay.
That's probably what it was.
He looks like he could fit in.
Well, yeah, and to further this, so he says he's got nowhere else to go, which means he's a washout from everywhere else. This is sort of his last chance. This Kenner guy who, like nobody can work with him. He does have the Asian look. Like, well, okay, you can do undercover work. We'll partner you with this guy that no one can partner with. Fine, fuck it. Let's. This is it. This is your last shot.
That's what it is. Mm-hmm.
So all of this talk, though, makes Kenner soften up a little bit. So he explains, like, look, we need for this guy to tell us who he works for. Johnny notices through the mirror that the goon has, like, gotten up from his chair. He's taking his shirt all the way off. He kneels down. He's making some sort of, like, ritualistic hand gestures. Kenner turns and sees this, freaks out. He runs into the room, but before he can get in there, the Yakuza guy, like, breaks his own neck.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny was like, that was nuts, which I felt like was kind of a subdued delivery.
That was fucking nuts, and that's not actually possible, is it? Is that a?
As far as I'm aware, you can't break your own neck
I would
way.
think your body's not going to let you do that to yourself.
I don't know.
A person could be strong enough to do it, but I don't know that
the leverage
muscles are gonna.
Yeah,
usually your body is not going to cooperate.
Your reflexes
with harming itself that in a deadly way. I don't know.
I tried in the mirror after that, and I could never get it to work.
Oh shit! So Kenner was pissed off that this has happened. Kenner explains to Johnny that in the Yakuza culture, that was like the honorable way for him to go out. And I was like, man, I love I like the Yakuza vibe, and I don't know if there's ever been like a really good American Yakuza movie made.
Not that I'm aware of.
It should exist because this is like a fascinating sort of culture.
Tokyo Drift?
You don't play
one of those Fast and Furious movies?
Yeah.
that's outside of the scope of the Yakuza, though. That's more...
Was it? I don't know.
That's street driving culture, which I don't even know if that's a thing in Japan, but I don't know.
You know what show is good? Is Tokyo Vice on Max is really good.
I've heard it's really good.
Yeah.
It's a TV show?
But it's with Hiroyuki Sanada? Is that?
It's got, what's that actor's
no,
name?
it's not Hiroyuki
Watanabe.
Sanada. Ken Watanabe.
Is the lead, and Ansel Elgort.
Ansel Elgort, yeah.
It's really good. Yeah. It's like really good, but it's a slow burn TV show about Yakuza and an American journalist in Tokyo.
Ooh, I might have to. I love mob stuff.
It's pretty good. The second season is incredible. The first season was like a little bit like, oh, that should have been better. And the second season was mind blowing how good it was. Just then the captain comes walking in, reading through like a report of what had happened. And he says, so you guys let all the guys go where you were fighting, huh? And Kenner's like, well, not everybody got away, but this guy just killed himself. And the captain just doesn't even seem all that concerned about it.
Just
doesn't like, oh man, rats.
Oh shucks.
I did read that the captain or their boss, whatever his name is, had way more in this movie, and it all got cut.
Yes.
So
all got cut out.
That was missing from this movie was, other than this scene, you would never know these guys were even cops.
Right.
Like, this is the only time they have any interaction with other police officers.
Other than when, like, they pull their badges a couple of times over the course of the movie. But, yeah, I mean, like, you need... It's a 90s action movie. You need the one scene where they go into the police station. So they delivered on that.
There's no, like, captain yelling at them, like, constantly, like, trying to bust their balls or whatever. But I also felt like this was probably like the fifth guy that's died in custody this week. Like, he's just like, it happened.
Wow.
It happened again.
Oh, another one killed themselves. All right, take him down to the furnace.
He killed himself.
the furnace.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Shit. So, but elsewhere, we're introduced to the character of Yoshida. That's the leader of the Yakuza.
Mm-hmm. Shang Tsung makes his first appearance.
Guys, I got such a great face. Like, such a great look.
Oh, God, what a great look.
So he and his whole squad are at the junkyard. There's like 13 dudes, so they're dressed all exactly the same.
Yes.
Every one of them looked like they were ready to sell you a used car, I felt like. Like, they all had just like the shit-eating grins on their face or whatever. But Tanaka, that's the guy who had been running the underground fight club. He's handcuffed to the steering wheel of this car that's like in a crusher at the junkyard or whatever. So Tanaka is begging for mercy. He's telling Yoshida, you can have the club. You can have anything else you want. They're speaking English for some reason.
Yeah, right.
It's always weird
Yeah.
when that happens in a movie. Someone hits the button for the crusher. It starts coming down with Tanaka inside. There was this one egregious shot where you could see that was like just like a mannequin dummy.
Yes. Oh my God.
In the car or whatever.
So
like, it was almost like a close up. It was awful.
Yeah.
So then they proceed to talk in English with like heavy accents that you almost couldn't understand what he was saying. But Sato, the number one goon, was saying, I think he was saying he should have retired when he had the chance. And then Yoshida says, like, oh, to see someone die this way crushes me. And everyone laughed, like, politely.
Look, a Yakuza gang leader who has a command enough of the English language to make a pun.
To make it English, to make it a pun in English?
English pun.
Yeah,
all right,
sure.
good. Good for him.
Point.
Good for him.
Why did they kill him? Just because they wanted his club?
They just wanted his club.
I guess he didn't cave in or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I've got to believe. Like,
he didn't capitulate immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we see the sadistic nature of this Yoshida.
I got some theories about him, but we'll get to as we go along here.
Okay.
But it's very like a psychosexual thing with him and like killing people.
Yeah,
or
well,
like,
that is true.
So, but now with no cue at all, like everyone just turns in unison and walks off like together in the same moment. It was wild to me. And that was our lengthy first chapter to Showdown in Little Tokyo.
The thing that I love is that our podcast is going to go longer than this movie goes.
I mean, we're almost there already.
Oh, definitely.
So please stick around. We're just getting warmed up. Katie, we hope will come back with us.
Yes, we'll see.
Yeah. Anything you want to say on our way out the door? Any last plugs to get in, or your social media, anything like that?
I would say watch one or listen or watch One More Round. It's the Rocky Series podcast where you can see more of Dolph in season 4.
Oh, absolutely.
Perfect.
We love some Ivan Drago.
Okay.
On that note, thanks for listening, and
we'll be back.